name is Daniel Jones. I'm the editor of the Modern Love column in the New York Times, which I've been doing for 21 years. And I think this is my 6th appearance at Unfinished, believe it or not. The Modern Love column is, I guess, what you'd call love stories that people submit mostly from the United States, but also from around the world. And it runs online every Friday. It comes out in print in the International New York Times on the weekends and in the National New York Times. There are short personal essays that are true. And they're about love, but I think a lot of people's popular conception of the word love might be a little misleading for what these stories are. This is really about the power of love to heal, to hurt. Very strong emotions in these stories, and they're often the most important stories in people's lives. As my appearances here sort of progressed over the years, we began with actors reading stories that we'd published in the column. And Christian had the brilliant idea to say, we have stories too in Romania, and I'm going to get them. And sure enough, he did. And for the past few years, the stories that we've performed here have been written by Romanians in Romanian and translated into English. And the stories we have tonight that will be read by Alexandru and ṭTEFANIA, who are a couple themselves, their own love story, you could say. Yeah. The stories we have tonight, the first one will be by Alexandru, the second by ṭTEFANIA. The first one is different in tone from the second, and you'll see what I mean when you hear them. The second one, I don't like the term trigger warning, but it's a very intense story, and it may stir up a lot of emotions for people who've had even vaguely similar experiences. So just be ready for that. It's good to be stirred up. It's good to be uncomfortable, and it's good to learn from those feelings. The theme for tonight is sort of repetitive behavior in relationships that you can't seem to break out of. And it's either you doing the same thing over and over again, or dating the same kind of person who's wrong for you over and over again, or being in a relationship and having the same fight over and over again. Does this sound familiar at all to anyone here? This is something we all do, and it's not our fault. This is, it's not anyone's fault. These are things that are sort of baked into us from our childhoods and from how we learned what love is. And we learned that from our parents, mostly, in their relationships. We learned that from friends and relatives, from being in intense situations that feel like comfort or feel like danger, sometimes feel like both. And we carry those feelings and those yearnings and those fears into the relationships we have for the rest of our lives. The critical thing is to try to understand that and not to blame and not to say, you're the bad person and I'm the good person, but to understand that, to understand what you're drawn to and why, how you were shaped by your experiences, and what might be better for you. And when we talk about leaps, sometimes you're leaping towards something, but an equally scary leap is to leap out of something and not know where you're going, but just knowing that you have to get out. So I was in a relationship several years ago that lasted several years. I was married for a long time. I had kids who were out of college and out of the house, and my wife and I wanted different things. We were still close, but we separated. And I started, after we separated, I started a relationship that was very exciting. Like any new relationship is exciting, and like, this is great, and this is the solution to everything. And we were together for about 2.5 years altogether. But shortly after the sort of the honeymoon period in this relationship, I noticed that she was starting fights about things. And at the beginning, there were fights that seemed legitimate to me. Like I remember one of the first ones was I wasn't really paying attention. She was telling me some story that was important to her, and I wasn't really paying attention. And she was like, "Do you know how to have a conversation?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. I've been alive a long time. I've had a lot of conversations and made my way through them." Another one was me showing up at her place without really and just saying sort of like, what are we doing for dinner? And she's like, "Well, why don't you come up with a plan sometimes for dinner?" And so that was, those seemed, I sort of changed my behavior, and I tried to avoid the fight. And that was really the wrong thing to do. So I kept trying to avoid the fight and be better, be a better conversationalist, be better planning a meal. Whatever it was, these things kept coming up. And then I noticed sort of a strange thing about the fights, that first of all, they started to get more and more about more and more minor things. And I was like, well, what's that about? Again, I didn't understand any of this in the moment. I just was like, what's going on? And I noticed a strange thing. She felt, after the fight, sort of close to me and kind of passionate. And I felt like distant and scared. And so it was just not lining up. And with every fight, those sort of feelings increased. It was a relief to her and even passionate for her, and for me it was scary and distancing. So we continue to go through this. I understand it in retrospect, but and I should have understood it then, and so should have she. I had been reading nothing but complicated love stories for 21 years, and she had been a psychoanalyst for 30 years. Neither of us had a clue. Her childhood and adolescence involved a very combustible family life, where her father was especially domineering and prone to real outbursts. Her mother was too, but the father was more. That lasted through her young childhood and through her adolescence until she finally ran away from home as like a 16-year-old. But she battled in those relationships constantly. She battled with them, she fought for herself, and that was love to her. The love involved the fight, it involved the caretaking after, it involved healing. That was love to her. And that was not love to me. For me, it was my parents in childhood. My father was someone who'd really suffered and been abused as a child, but he did everything he could to prevent that, prevent acting that way with us, with me and my brother, almost too far the other direction, because he held everything in. and he would feel himself getting angry at us, and he'd hold it in. So to me, love was not fighting, holding it in, hoping for peace. Again, I didn't understand that in the moment. It's crystal clear to me now, but all I knew is that I needed to get out. So I leaped out of that relationship. And sometimes it's not about understanding. It is about understanding. It's not about blame. It's just you need to find someone who's more compatible. Either of us, especially me, I think I could have learned to be more of a fighter, and I tried. It just didn't come naturally enough to me. It would have been a long process. We're going to turn to the stories now. Keeping that theme in mind. When you're listening to stories, and this goes all the way back to school days for me, you're sort of chastised if you're not paying attention to the story. But when you listen to stories and you start to think about your own life, that's a good thing. That's what stories are supposed to do. They're supposed to get you to sort of crack you open and get you to think about your own life and your own childhood and your own experiences in love. And you sort of drift in and out, and you hear the story, and you are really in it, and then things start to surface. I want you to embrace that and not feel bad about it. Let yourself get into your own head and your own memories. And after we're going to go sequentially and listen to both stories. We're going to have Makul playing just a little bit of acoustic accompaniment during the stories. And then after the stories, we're going to share our own memories with someone nearby. So keep that in mind. Who are we starting? We're starting with Alexandru.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Three Times by Gabriel Chibotariu. I have a saying: if it doesn't work the first time, it won't work the second time either. Part 1. I'm 19 years old, a college student, single and broke. I had begged my parents for money to join the 3-month course in standard and Latino dancing at student's house in Bucharest. I thought it was a good opportunity to meet girls. Me, the one who always just stared at them instead of making a move. I got my first chance when walking upstairs to sign up and saw 2 girls coming down. I stared at the first one, who smiled at me. I stared at the second, who smiled too. I just stood there until she said, "Why are you looking at me?" "I like your smile," I said, and kept walking. On the day of the first class, surprise, they were in the same group as me. During the first sessions, we practiced the basic steps on our own. Then, it was time to form pairs. Wow, pairs. Was it supposed to be easy? Blushing, I went up to the first girl and we started to dance. "I am Gabi," I said. "Dana," she replied. The classes were held twice a week. I felt so good being around her that I started counting the days until the next class. But soon the beginner course was coming to an end, and I hadn't made an actual move. On the day of the competition, the intermediate level, she was confident, and I was lightheaded from daydreaming about her. So I messed up badly. I didn't lead her properly, stepped on her foot, and she started crying. She told me she had joined the class for dancing, not to find someone. And that she really wanted to advance to the next level. But because I wasn't capable to lead her, it was all over. What? How could it be over? I called her in the days that followed, but she kept declining my calls. Then I decided to go to her university with a red rose to wait for her after her PE class. She was in her second year of med school and wasn't expecting to see me there. We sat on a bench together, but I could tell she was uncomfortable. I saw a coin on the ground and said, "That's our luck." "It's yours," she said. Yeah. Seeing I didn't stand a chance, I said goodbye and walked away as if nothing had happened. Just another girl that got away. Part 2. I'm 29 years old, single, with a job and some money. And one day when I was at work scrolling through Facebook, I got a notification that it was Dana's birthday. I wished her a happy birthday and asked how she was doing. She replied that she was fine. Yeah. I ignored her for a while after that. As you do. I mean, even after 10 years, I was still upset that she had rejected me. Eventually, though, I messaged her again and she replied. After 2 or 3 months of flirting over Messenger, I suggested we meet again at the student's house. Not much has changed, except the dance school was gone. But when I saw her again, I just shut down. Later, she told me that I had been like a turtle hiding in its shell. Toward the end of our meeting, I walked her to the trolley bus station. No, I don't remember how the conversation went, but at some point she got on my nerves and I said, "So what do you mean, that I'm your better half?" "Yes," she said. "You should have made up your mind 10 years ago," I yelled. I mean, how could you not yell after hearing something like that? Doesn't it drive you crazy? 10 years down the drain, me by myself, 0 relationship, and her going through 2, one of which left deep scars. But the next day I was driving to the countryside, so I asked her if she would like to come along. I was surprised when she said yes. I told her to dress warmly since we'd be going to a hilly area. When I picked her up, I barely recognized her. She looked like a little kid all wrapped up in winter coat with her hood on. In the car, I put on the music I liked, "What's Up" by DJ Rhino and Sylvia J. Yolo. Now it's perfect for a long drive. She told me it sounded sad because the lyrics were about pain, but for me it was all about the beat. When we got back, We kissed in the car and something sparked between us. I invited her into the back seat. No, we didn't get very far. It was cold, it was uncomfortable, and people were passing by in the parking lot, but, it felt nice. A month or two later, I asked her to move in with me. I wanted to make up for the lost time. Besides, what kind of relationship is it if you only see each other on weekends? I wanted us to sleep together. Good thing you're the one rushing to move in, she said. Because if it were up to me, who knows if anything would have happened. We had switched roles. But how could you not rush after 10 years of doing nothing, seriously? Bit by bit, she began to conquer my territory. No, the 50 square meter kind, of course, not the emotional kind. My heart didn't skip a bit like it did a decade earlier. But I enjoyed the routine we'd built. We went to work together, and on weekends we'd visit her parents or go for a drive. And speaking of heart, one day she had told me that her heart used to beat faster too when we saw each other at the dance classes. I mean, how could you not want to pull your hair out? Still, we carried on. To show her love, she baked me the best pastries in the world. She cooked, cleaned, acted like a real wife. Wife? Yes. Because one day I asked her, what's wrong? And she said, I want kids. Her sister had gotten married and was planning to have a baby. Being a year older, Dana didn't want to fall behind. I said nothing, but gestured as if to say, go ahead, have kids. Well, I'm not stopping you. Like, we don't even talk about it, she said. And that was true. I didn't like talking about it because I had financial issues I couldn't handle. Starting a family felt like already too much and too early in the relationship. After that, things started to cool between us. And she would say, do as you want, you can go alone. And we ended up feeling like roommates. When her sister was about to give birth, she called Dana to come to England to help her with the baby for a few months. But it seemed like she didn't really want to leave, not out of love for me, more out of pity. What will you do without me? She said. Same as I did before, I said. Of course, I couldn't stay behind alone, so I went to England with her. The plan was for me to find a job there and for us to try our luck. It lasted 2 weeks. I barely saw her. She left in the morning to help her sister and came home in the evening. Meanwhile, back home, I had a mortgage to pay and a job. When we broke up, my last words were, 3 times. That was because we used to kiss 3 times when we saw each other. But lately, she'd cut it down to just 1 kiss, if any. And just like that, after about 2.5 years together, I returned alone to my 50 square meter territory, back to solo road trips in the countryside. Part 3. 5 years passed. I had been thinking about reaching out to her again to see how she was doing, but how to find her. Surprisingly, she was no longer on Facebook. So I tried Instagram. I searched by name and found her. But no photos. Just posts about cross-stitching and crafts, which she used to do when she lived with me too. Hi, Dana, I wrote. Hi, Gabi, she replied. Who are you? What? What do you mean, who am I? Well, I didn't have a profile picture, never posted selfies, and didn't even use my full name. So, yeah, her question made sense, but I didn't want to accept it. Then I sent her a photo of a cross-stitch piece she had made, and she figured it out. But the joy of reconnecting wasn't there. I asked her if she was with someone, and she wrote, I have a partner since 2018, living together. So here I am, 40 years old, single, jobless. I'm broke. Thank you very much. That was about Oh, yes, you can.
The story I'm about to read is called He's Not Right for You, written by Ioana Susan. Those around me see the signs, sense the danger, try to save me. But for me, there is only him, nothing else. I'm 19 years old. I don't know much about relationships. My parents, although separated since I was 6 months old, are still legally married. They speak to each other in monosyllables and only when necessary. Around me, most couples aren't too affectionate. Communication between partners is strained, if not entirely missing. The woman usually submits to the man. Whether they are happy or not, healthy or not, the relationships I know exist only because that's the curse of nature. I don't know much about the world. I leave home thirsty for love, and unfortunately believing that love cancels you out. If you love, you merge completely into the relationship. Is that romantic? Naive? I don't know, but it's definitely toxic. That's a lesson I would learn only years after. I'm the good girl, the obedient one, the girl who never causes trouble, top of the class. Everyone is supposed to be proud of me. One day, I meet him. Free, rebellious, doing only what he feels like, living by his own rules. Dark, piercing eyes that seem to see straight into my soul. Maybe for the first time. Irresistible to a good girl. A whirlwind of passion. I live only for him. Going away to college turns into suffering because he gets left behind in our hometown. Travels, excuses, flame, longing. School, the reason I left home, comes second. My family and my friends rank even lower. Those around me see the signs. They sense the danger. They try to save me. He's not right for you. I don't want to listen. He gets angry over anything. He's jealous, suspicious, accuses me of hiding something. He reads my texts, criticizes me over nothing, drives a wedge between me and my friends. Open your eyes, my friends say. I don't want to see it. For me, there's only him. The first fight, the first blame, the first jealous rage, shouting, manipulation, playing the victim, then regrets, making up, endless confessions, weakness, mine. Then it starts all over again. Times of wild passion, just like in the beginning. We move in together. I lie to my parents, who probably would never have agreed to it. Maybe they knew anyway. Romantic evenings, unexpected adventures, new and fascinating people. Passion, fire, a good life, a crazy one, on credit. Another fight. The first slap. I don't understand what's happening to me. Other people are victims, not me. Everyone is supposed to be proud of me. I can't take it. Please, regrets, making up, endless confessions. Then again, wild passion until the next jealous rage. At this point, I have no more friends. Nobody wants you, he said. Look at you. Nobody wants you like I do. This fight is not like the others. I don't see anything human in his eyes. A beast hitting me wherever he can. Mostly in the face. No amount of makeup can hide those bruises. I won't be able to go to work in the morning. I press charges. I kick him out of my house. The most terrifying time of my life begins. Threats, phone calls in the middle of the night. You'll see. Police officers can't seem to have any power over him. It's not serious enough, they say. We have no reason to believe you're in danger. I'm afraid to walk alone at night. I expect him to jump out of an alley to follow me. Every shadow could be him. I don't have any social media accounts under my name. I don't want to expose myself, have him to find me. I change my phone number every few weeks. He always finds it. Let's get back together, he says. I don't answer. What are you gonna do without me? He says. Silence. If you want to play the victim, he says, I'll give you a reason to. I say nothing. Drop the charges, he says, or you will have it coming. I can't speak. I reach out to my family and my friends. Ashamed. They were right, but they couldn't get through me. Everyone knows they can't give my number to anyone who might pass it on. I'm always with someone. I'm scared to be left alone. Guilt. Fear. much shame. How could I let this happen to me? How didn't I see the signs? Why didn't I listen? How did I allow myself to be manipulated like this? How did I end up here? I don't remember the blows, the pain. I don't remember if it was 8 or 10 days in the hospital. My brain erased a lot of it, thankfully. What I do remember are the looks on people's faces. On the bus, on the street, on the way to the police station, at work, when I brought in the forensic certificate. How do you sell clothes at the mall with a face like this? Eyes that fix the ground, that hide, trying not to see, that show discomfort more than empathy, maybe even disgust. These looks hurt more than the beating. Months go by, I get used to it. I rebuild myself. Ioana 2.0. Slowly, I regain my trust in life and in people. It's the best time of my life. I live alone for the first time. I do what I want, when I want, with whom I want. I am reborn. After a nice evening with my friends, I come home. My door is open. My heart races. Did I really forget to lock it? I find him sleeping in my bed. I'm terrified. I run out of the house and call the police. They take us both to the station for statements. The charge? Property damage. I'm shocked to find out that the penalty for that is higher than for assault. It's worse to break a door than a face. The officer explains to me very patiently, if you spend less than 20 days in a hospital, he'll probably only get a fine. They let him go. I get a ride home in a police car. The door doesn't lock anymore. I can't stay like this overnight. I have just enough time to call a taxi and go to some friends in the dorm. On the way, I get a text. Where are you? He's back at my place. I go to sleep at someone else's place on a day I had just paid rent. I return the next day with some friends from the dorm. He's gone. I sleep with the washing machine pushed against the door. Pressure from his family, pressure from the police to drop the charges. Come on, miss, they say. Let's not ruin his future over one mistake. I say nothing. Who knows what you said that got him so angry? Silence. Do you want to spend your days in court? I can't speak. What did he do to you? You look fine. I give in. I have regrets. I still do. Sometimes I think about the ones who may have come after me. I imagine if I'd followed through, maybe I could have stopped the same thing from happening to someone else. and then I sink once again in regret and shame. Years go by and I still don't like walking alone at night. I flinch at every rustle in the bushes. I don't exist online. I get calls from unknown numbers in the middle of the night. I never answer, no matter what news they might bring. Eventually, I find out that he's working for the army with a clean record. Did someone actually give him a gun? I still keep a stuffed toy from the good old days. A hippo. At first, I found it hard to look at it. It reminded me of everything that happened. But I felt I could only heal by going through the experience, not getting over it. I looked at the hippo every day, and it reminded me to open my eyes, to listen to my gut, to never lose myself like that again. Now I know about world. Now I know about relationships.
Phew. Take a moment. Fantastic readings, both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of things are swirling around in your head. A lot of memories, and both painful and not. I'd like everyone to take maybe 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. I think we go until 6, even though my clock is ticking down. And find someone next to you, preferably who you don't know, and share your memories of behavior that you had in relationships, in family relationships, that felt like you were stuck in the same sort of cycle over and over and again, that you were recognized was a problem, but you couldn't quite break out of it. Take about 5 or 7 minutes. When I've done this in the past and tried to stop those conversations, it's proved to be impossible. I'm completely ignored. So this time, give me some respect when I say stop talking. And then we'll gather as a group again. Okay, go. Is my mic on? Okay, here. Let's try to wrap up the conversations. Do you remember when I said earlier to give me respect and not ignore me when I said let's stop? The same thing. Okay, let's stop. Let's wind it down. Quieter, quieter. Eyes toward me. Eyes toward me. All right, this is actually working this time. Thank you. I set that up just right. But I actually love seeing that kind of energy in response with strangers and sharing sort of on command, like sharing intimate parts of your life with strangers or even people you know who probably don't know those things about you. There's something very powerful about that, and it's something I love about this festival. It seems to happen again and again throughout the festival and happens year after year. And I just think it's a marvel. Okay, so I'd like to ask if anyone would like to share on this sort of topic of repetitive behaviors that drive you crazy or keep you from, breaking out of to where you need to be. If anyone would like to share their brief story with everyone, we have time for maybe three stories or so. First one is always the hardest.
At the beginning, you said about your marriage when you said in the final you realized you weren't compatible. How you realize you weren't compatible? Because in my opinion, when I meet someone, I'm trying to analyze everything, but I'm not sure what is good and what is bad and when I should stop. Because if I'm stopping, I'm thinking, it's correct that I stopped, or I should continue understanding the other person and myself.
Tell me more about your story. What's some of the meat of it?
My pattern is I meet my mirrors, and when you meet your mirror, it's like you're fighting with yourself all the time, and it's not going anywhere.
And what characteristics make him your mirror?
Lot of critic, never enough, big ego, yeah.
And you both have that.
Yeah.
And you're... It's funny,
Perfectionism.
I'm actually not used to being asked questions in this period because I don't consider myself a therapist or an advice giver. But what is the... I don't know. I mean, people have a gut feeling that they ignore often.
Yeah.
And what is your gut feeling?
I don't find it.
You don't find the gut feeling?
No, because sometimes you are attracted to negativity. Sometimes, maybe not everyone. When something, as was the story with the guy that was didn't accept, the girl didn't want him, and he kind of fight like 20 years for it, right?
Yeah.
And more. And people are attracted to these kind of things, like emotional unavailability and so on.
I mean, this takes us back to
And we
where
don't
we started this session, which is trying to understand why you desire the things you desire. What taught you what love is, what desire is, what passion is. And it's almost certainly from your parents, from how you grew up, from what was shaping you, and teasing that out and being able to understand those forces. It's not easy and it takes a long time, but that's the key to understanding why you're attracted to this person, maybe why you're repelled by certain aspects of it. But it's what has been baked into you in terms of what defines love for you.
No, this is, I have no idea what love is. Regarding my parents and the background, I have no idea what love is.
It's time
So
to start
I
investigating.
tried my best to analyze it, read it.
It's a lot. It can be a long process. It can be years, but it's worth it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
I can share as well. So,
Who
over here.
has the mic?
Sorry.
Oh.
So, I believe that when we share our truth, it's healing. So, I'm doing this as a part of my healing in the process, so I thank you for the opportunity. I would like to say that the story is quite similar to the one that was read or interpreted. I grew up as a people pleaser, as the In Romanian, we say fata cu minte, the person that smiles all the time, does everything right. But what I also learned as a child was that I should never say no. I should never speak up when something is hard. And I should literally take it all in and smile and continue doing whatever that is asked of me. I have amazing parents that always tried to tell me the good thing, but the example that I saw in them and in their relationship was one that was opposite to that. So they were trying to teach me what not to do because they had been through it, but of course, unfortunately, as human beings, we mimic what we see, we don't do what we are told.
Right.
So my experience started when I was 14. It was my first official relationship. I was incredibly proud. There was this very bad guy, incredibly handsome, very, I don't know, aggressive in behavior, very sassy maybe, I don't know. And we didn't hang out for a long time. It was just a couple of months maybe. The experience was one in which I could see progressively how he would want things from me, and I had no idea how to stop him. Fortunately, it didn't get too far because at one point we were supposed to go to the first summer camp that I had ever gone to. And he said just before that he would like a break. And it wasn't something defined at the time. It wasn't something that, I could understand with the mind of a 14-year-old. But what I got from it is that we're going to do our separate things. And I went on to kiss someone. And that's the moment when I truly triggered. I wouldn't give all of the details that happened before, but let's just say that his pushes were more and more determined towards what he wanted to do. And then when we were on the break in the summer vacation, because he got triggered by the fact that I kissed someone else, something that I hope doesn't happen to a lot of people happened. He corroborated with my roommates, and he was able to come into the room and into the shower while I was showering. And the only thing that happened was that he took a photo of me, naked basically. And I only realized 20 years later that affected the whole way that I position myself in life, but because it felt like I had always something in the back of my mind that I was afraid of. There was always something that people could harm me with, something that I cannot talk about, something that has a hold of me or can take over or can turn my life in a very different direction because I don't feel safe in sharing this with anyone. And I've done a lot of work in that respect, and this is kind of the culminating point, I can say. And I just want to share that because I want to share a story of success, of conquering your own fears, and taking this to the next level. And the coincidence has it that he works in the police force in Bucharest. And yes, and this is the majority of policemen in Bucharest, I'm going to say this. But the thing that's very interesting for me in the process is that in which once you work on yourself enough, this person no longer is someone that you fear on the street. I can finally say that after 20 years of working on the matter.
Thank you very much for sharing that. That was great. And in that case, you're particularly young and particularly wounded because of that. But I published a piece. It was one of my proudest publications in the Modern Love column that was written by a college student at Columbia University, and she was of South Asian, Indian descent, and these are very sort of you don't really talk about anything. She was abused by an uncle for a period of years when she was around that age. And she wrote the most powerful essay about it. And I have to be careful with who I publish, especially when they're young, because this is an enormous audience. It could be read by millions of people. And I talked to her again and again and said, are you sure that you want to publish this and be, you know, the internet lives forever. She has an unusual name. Do you want to be forever associated with this as your identity? And she said, silence hasn't worked. And I thought that was so powerful. And she then, she was empowered by that. She went on to write a novel and really put her name out there in all kinds of ways that overcame her past. But to say that with strength, silent doesn't work, was really a powerful moment for me and for her. I think we have time for one more. Did someone have a mic already? Yeah.
She has a mic as well. Maybe I can let her.
Well, we'll get both of you
Can we
then.
do? Okay.
Her,
Okay.
and then you.
You want to start?
No, please start.
Yeah, so my story, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's basically, I saw in my parents alcoholism, and this is a perpetuating cycle, things that happen for, I think, 3 generations in both of my father's lineage and my mother's lineage. So what I've seen was aggression, people not knowing how to deal with anger, how to communicate, and for example, when I was little, I've registered this avoidant behavior because for me and my mom was easier to go out in the night instead because home my father was throwing bottles and knives. We had blood on the walls for a long, long time because then he would step in the glass and it was blood everywhere and they would fight so my mom can get out. And you read something about the police. This happened also to my mom. So it was all the time something like, you did something to get him angry, like, that's for sure. So it was easier to stay out of the house than to call the police. And I didn't have a relationship for a long time because this avoidant was always staying out of trouble. But around 2021, there was this guy, and to build on your story there, because my feeling was from the beginning, this is bad and it's not going anywhere. So the intuition was there, but in the same time I had this question, is this intuition or is this simply fear? And because the chemistry was there, it felt visceral, it felt so real and so different from everything I've experienced until that point. And then 3 years went by, 2 years of back and forth and 1 year in relationship status, let's call it. And basically, it was my mirror with all my father's problems. Ideal combination. It's a constant fight with yourself and with the person. And eventually, I realized where the patterns come from. So I knew basically it was this anger between me and my dad, but my dad had died in 2016. And I was like, okay, how do you get responses from your father? All I need is like, I'm sorry, and maybe my brain will come back and the fog will go away. I even tried going to the medium, like maybe talking to the dead will help and we'll come back to earth. But yeah, it took a long time. It was always this, when I started an argument and a topic I was trying to communicate, and it took me weeks to get the courage to communicate. And all the time I was even trying to get myself out of the problem and see what I can do different so he doesn't get the same, he doesn't get angry rather than actually confronting the problem. And in the end, yeah, I think it was just a matter of courage of take your stuff and get out. I mean, I was even avoidant in the end, but I was the one that got out eventually, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, you can even tell by how you talk and your body language that you understand yourself. Like, there's a confidence about telling your own story that it feels like you've figured a lot out.
It introduced me to my whole healing process. I think that's, And I discovered a lot about myself through it. So for that, I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Passing to you.
Hello. So my story is still being written at the moment. Until 27, I consider myself blind. I was looking at the world through a different lens, like a very dirty, blurry lens, until at some point something changed inside my mind, and I noticed something that I was avoiding all my life. All the time that I was speaking with people, I felt lonely, I felt misunderstood, I felt a bit angry because everybody was not understanding exactly what I was saying. Everybody seemed a bit silly to me. Everybody seemed under my level, and I felt a sense of superiority with everybody, and I was just brushing everybody off like, you don't understand me. I'm talking about things that are too smart for you guys to understand. So finally this curtain just dropped, and I first was scared of what I saw. Like, it appeared like a demon to me, like this person that was hurting everybody, like this person that was offending everybody, like this person that was making himself alone. He wasn't alone because people were wrong, I was wrong. So I started this journey to discover what was happening exactly. So I came from a broken home. My father was the authoritative type, like very angry guy that was screaming a lot. My mother was loving at sometimes, not loving sometimes. And as I dug deeper, I understand that I was raised by an upset mother, narcissistic dad. My dad was raised by a narcissistic grandmother, so that made me, of course, the narcissistic type. And that was heavy to take all at once. But as I learned that it's quite great that narcissistic type starts to go to therapy, but eventually you notice that you can be narcissistic even when you're healing. Because the first thing that I said to myself after a couple of really good therapy sessions with a very good therapist that I found, I said, oh my God, this thing is going so well. I'm so good at therapy. It's amazing. And it lasted until the first bump, and the first bump was so hard on myself and just fell back down. And I remember nights where I was looking in the mirror and not recognizing who is there. Days where I just talking with people, try to see them in a different light, try to listen more than speaking. And eventually I call them tricks. I trick myself that I'm in control. I trick myself that I'm healthy now, that I'm good. These tricks started to last less and less time. I remember the last one that I had. I started to get really into stretching. I have some scoliosis and it's really bad for my back. So I got into stretching and I was like, I found the secret for life now. I'm gonna be better. Everything is gonna be all right. And I was doing everything at once. I quit smoking, started stretching. Things at work weren't good, so I started to learn some new skills. Also renovating some house, also fixing my relationship. She's my fiancée, by the way. She doesn't like public speaking. As soon as I told her I'm gonna say a story, she dropped my hand. So, thank you, darling. So, all at once, and at some point during May this year, I just fell. I was just, each item that I was doing, thank God I'm still not smoking, so that's good. But each item that I was doing started to fall apart, and I was just working and just working, not taking care of myself, ignoring my fiancée, and we started to become like roommates. And I started to think, oh, it's all okay. It's just need to get through all of this, just need to stay on top at work, finish with the renovation, and then we're gonna take care of this. But at some point she told me it's too much for me. I don't feel like I should feel. And then it came back to reality for me. I snapped from it, said, okay, I hear you, I see you're hurting, I don't want to hurt you. So I just decided on that moment, it's over, it's done. I'm not gonna be doing this anymore. I'm not gonna feel sorry for myself and just come back. And then I started again, just a reset to reality. So this is I'm continuously working to break these patterns that are still happening. It's very hard for me to notice when I'm losing the plot, and I'm not trying to understand that I'm not tricking myself. And she's been really patient with me. So this time I developed a system, and I communicated with her, and she was really understanding, really helpful for implementing this system. So she's always telling me things are not going as they should. And the first time she's gonna tell me this, I'm gonna say, no, it's not true. People are not understanding correctly. It's a different opinion. It depends on the perspective. And it takes a while for me to really listen to her. So now I have a thing where I don't break promises. When I promise something, I want to stay true to them. Mm-hmm. So I told her, when I get like this, please tell me that I promised you that I'm gonna listen to you and I'm gonna trust you on this one. And
Excellent.
Hopefully this will work.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending and for being so generous with your stories with each other. I'm going to be signing books, apparently, in the library after this, if you want to talk some more. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Good.